Today, we're going to talk about where resentment comes from and how you can respond when it shows up in your life. If you're a coach, consultant, or well-being entrepreneur, grab free science-based content to grow your business by clicking the ebook link in the description below. What is resentment? Resentment is the combination of unpleasant feelings and thoughts you experience when you don't get what you feel like you deserve, or when you see other people get something that you think they don't deserve. In other words, resentment is the feeling you experience when you have the thought, "That's not fair." When we think we have been wronged in some way, or somebody else has been given something we deserve, we are liable to feel resentment. We see the situation as unjust, as a threat to the status we want to have in the world. Resentment motivates us to try to level the playing field or to seek revenge. Does this make resentment a bad thing? Not entirely. As an emotional response, this is a very useful signal to you that you want something in your environment to change. So is resentment an emotion? Resentment is not a pure emotion, but rather a particular manifestation of anger. Broadly speaking, we feel anger when our expectations are violated or when our boundaries are crossed. In the case of resentment, we have expectations regarding things we deserve to get from the world. When we don't get them, and especially if someone else gets them, the situation seems morally unjust to us, and from this belief, resentment emerges. So what are the causes of resentment? One cause of resentment is narcissism, something we all experience to some degree. Since we are all the main characters in the stories of our lives, it's natural for us to resent when those stories don't unfold as we would like. This can take the form of both events that threaten our sense of self and events that suggest our life plans aren't going to work out. A common flavor of this kind of resentment is what we experience when we fail to get ahead in a culture that puts an extremely high value on professional success. Relatedly, we feel resentment when other people get to do the things we aren't allowed to do. Interestingly, a common cause of resentment is seeing other people do the things we don't give ourselves permission to do. A final cause of resentment worth mentioning is relative deprivation. This is the idea that seeing other people who have more than we have, regardless of how much we have, can make us feel resentful. So what are some examples of resentment? While most of us do not live in a state of constant resentment, resentment tends to be a daily presence in our lives. For example, resentment occurs frequently in relationships. After all, relationships are where we expect to get many of our needs met, and where we frequently draw comparisons between ourselves and others. Whether it's a child complaining about their older siblings' later bedtime, or the feeling we get when we see yet another friend purchase a new car, resentment is bound to surface in every relationship eventually. You can expect resentments to appear the most in the relationships that matter the most. So marriage is unfortunately a breeding ground for resentment. One spouse wishes the other would do more housework, while another spouse is dying for their partner to show up on time for their weekly date night. Irritation over little things can often boil over into generalized resentment between couples. Resentment can also appear at work. We share in the joy when our preferred colleagues do well, but we might resent the successes of coworkers whom we don't like, or whom we don't think are deserving of success. It seems that anytime we don't get what we believe we want, we can feel resentful. So how do we let go of our resentment? Here are several steps that may help. 1. Don't retaliate or avoid. We often want to get revenge when we feel resentment, to restore balance or justice to the situation. Or we try to avoid thinking about the situation at all. Both of these actions can make things worse, so instead, focus on making internal changes. 2. Check your entitlement. You might ask yourself, did I have unrealistic expectations for the situation? Was I expecting special treatment? Did I believe that someone owed me something? If you can identify a mismatch between your expectations and what was likely to happen, you may reduce your resentment. 3. Accept what happened. You cannot control anything about the past. All you can control is your reaction in this moment. So acceptance can be a good way to do that. 4. Forgive what you can. Most of the things that go wrong in our lives weren't done intentionally. People are trying their best even when they hurt us. So see if you can find it in yourself to forgive. 5. Find something to be grateful for. This might involve trying to empathize with the other party in the situation, looking for a silver lining, or finding a humorous aspect of the situation. Remember, gratitude for the situation is the opposite of resentment. Members of 12-step recovery groups place a big focus on overcoming resentment. In fact, one of the steps in their recovery consists of listing out every single resentment they can think of, then telling all those resentments to their sponsor or their mentor in recovery. I share this example with you to emphasize how commonplace and significant resentments are in our lives. We don't want to hold on to this poisonous feeling. So when we feel resentment, it's worth the effort to try to break the spell. It will always be better for your mind and body than holding on to a grudge. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and check out our free resources at berkeleywellbeing.com.